The Wednesday Wellness Show.
With Paul and Emma.
Hey, hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Wednesday Wellness Show. Today we're discussing the menopause. Now, if you've watched our previous episodes, you'll have probably worked out by now that I'm a bloke. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because we're talking about the menopause, and that's obviously something that I will never experience. I will experience the andropause. I might talk about that a bit later. But we're here to talk about the menopause today. Now, I do have some experience of dealing with this because some of my female clients and customers ask me for advice from a supplemental point of view. So I can offer, hopefully, some good advice for you today. Emma, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Maybe you're going through andropause now, even maybe.
Oh,
when does
blimey.
one usually go through andropause?
Well, I think it's generally the same time that a woman would experience the menopause in midlife,
Around
so
50.
maybe 40s, 50s, etc. Men experience a drop off in testosterone, whereas women experience a drop off in estrogen. And I have experienced some thinning hair recently, which is wonderful, isn't it? Eh? It's character building, they say. So so quite possibly, who knows? I'll keep you informed as we go along. So getting back to the menopause, Emma, you've experienced the menopause, haven't you?
Yeah,
What was
I'm
it?
years the other side of my menopause.
Yeah. So what was it like
I've
for
still
you?
got shiny skin, and I've still got plump skin, and I don't have any cellulite, and I don't have symptoms, except sometimes late at night, in the middle of the night, I'll get some kind of hot flush, but that could be parasites. And that could be lots of other things. But when I was pregnant with my second, when I was 38, because I had quite late pregnancies, I went to the doctor and they said, how old are you? 38. You could be going through menopause if you haven't had your period. I was like, going through my menopause at 38? What are you talking about? Apparently, that happens these days. Women are having early onset of menopause because basically I think the body doesn't have enough energy to get pregnant and have a baby. So it goes, look, let's just stop that for now, because we're also run down and toxic and demineralized, basically. But yeah, I went through menopause with relatively unscathed. But when I was younger, I did experience PMT, which is a hormonal imbalance, as in premenstrual tension, they call it, when you turn into devil woman before your period and you start screaming and shouting and like behaving like a lunatic and, scowling at everyone and snapping. And, I was like that. And I did try to go on the pill a couple of times. And again, it was like Jekyll and Hyde. Like Jekyll and Hyde. 1 minute I would be friendly, communicative, open. And the next minute I'd be like, scowling and snapping at people. And that was an estrogen pill that I went on. So this is interesting to me. And I've been researching the work of Dr. Wendy Sellens, who has an Instagram page called Estrogen Free. And she has a business now by default. She didn't go into it willingly or on purpose. It just, that's the trajectory of her career. She was she's trained as a Chinese medical practitioner, to offer herbs and things. And then she got into thermographs, which are pictures that you take of the boobies to see where there are heat spots and where there are cold spots. And this can accurately predict whether or not someone is going to be prone to cancer quite far in advance, like before cancer really gets a hold, which is very interesting. So, and she has dived into breast cancer. Which she maintains, Dr. Wendy Sellens maintains, is an estrogen overload. It's an overload of estrogen. So most women, as you say, when they go into menopause, let's face it, most of us are a bit stressed out. We're a bit demineralized. We're a bit undernourished. We're a bit, that we're not sleeping terribly well. And then suddenly your hormones crash because you're going into menopause. And suddenly everything feels 10 times worse. And so the doctor will say, here, well, have some HRT. And he'll offer you, or she'll offer you, some estrogen-based hormone replacement therapy. Now, what that does is, you see, women's bodies are flooded with estrogen when they're pregnant. And they're not supposed to be really flooded with estrogen at any other time. Yes, they have some estrogen and they have some progesterone and they have some testosterone as well. They're supposed to be in a balance, but because everything else is off balance, it's a holistic thing we're looking at, So the hormones get out of whack. So then when you take the HRT, you feel a bit better. But what I liken that to is offering a bottle of wine to an alcoholic, because they'll take what's given and they'll feel a little bit better, and then the next day they'll need some more to feel better again. And in the long run, it's not doing your body any favors, because it's like being permanently pregnant or something. Do you follow?
I do,
yeah.
Okay, so what do you make of bioidentical HRT, which is kind of like the supposed natural alternative to HRT?
Yeah, so they are made of what they call phytoestrogens, which come from plant materials. So some of the adaptogenic herbs that you offer that can help people with these symptoms will have phytoestrogens in them. And phytoestrogens look just like our own estrogens. They are virtually identical. And so they will go into the receptors, into the hormone receptors, like our own estrogen, and occupy that space and give the same effects. So phytoestrogens are high in things like soy. Soy is renowned. So soy milk, soy products, they're renowned for their estrogenic qualities. And so men who drink too much soy milk and whatnot might find that they develop man boobs, and get a bit podgy and stodgy and lose their hormone balance and sort of become a bit more effeminate. There is a book by Wendy Sellens called Soy Boys, which explains all this, which is very interesting. Soy is very high, and the Weston A. Price Foundation have been banging on for years about soy being a danger, because they used to put it in baby formula, which is an absolute disaster. If you want to mix up your genders and mess up the hormones of the babies, then give them a soy-based formula. It's still in formulas now, for heaven's sake. You've got to really check your labels, people. Avoid it like the plague. And the other thing is flax seeds. Flax seeds, which I always thought were a great thing, but 1/4 cup of flax seeds has the equivalent of 20 birth control pills.
Oh my God.
Amount of phytoestrogens.
Right, okay.
A lot.
They're quite high in oxalates as well, aren't they? I know chia seeds are.
Chia seeds are, high in oxalates. I don't know that the oxalic acid levels in flax, actually.
Okay, so what would if somebody approaches you and says, what would you recommend to me, Emma, in terms of what I should be eating, what I should be consuming while I'm going through this change?
Well, my story, and I'm going to be repeating myself again, and I apologize, but if the gut is leaky and not intact, you can't assimilate and absorb your food properly. So whatever you're eating, doesn't matter. You've got to heal and seal the gut. And then animal fat are going to give your skin plumpness and so that your skin will be properly hydrated and have oils. Fish oils are very, very good. To take a mineral drink, I would always suggest, is a good idea, as in to remineralize with your macro minerals, and that includes calcium, potassium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. That's a good start.
Okay. Talking of hormones, if you can hear a cat meowing, she's after me. She's very hormonal at the moment. So Yes, I was actually on the Amish Inquisition podcast a little while ago, and she jumped up on my shoulder and attacked my ear. Anyway, yeah, it was quite interesting. Yeah. Okay, sorry about this. By the way, I've forgot to shut my windows as well. So if you can hear an ice cream van in the background, that's I
I
apologise for that.
can't hear it.
Um,
Don't worry.
okay, so what about outside of food and stuff? What about things like yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi that I tried once and was terrible at, or strength training?
Yeah, right. I did Tai Chi when I was 18 at drama school. They made us go into this room and stand around going like this, And when you're 18, it's like, what am I doing this for? With
It's
a gag?
it's like an exercise in trying not to laugh.
Yeah. We used to do another thing called dance, but we used to call it hysterical dance because no one could do it without bursting out laughing.
Yeah.
When you're 18, that's it. But I wish I had paid more attention because I know that Tai Chi. I do Qigong now. Most mornings I go out with my bare feet on the grass and just start, breathing, getting my shoulders open and opening up my heart and, just stretching out with the Qigong. And it's amazing and it's really good. I think strength training is really important for women when they start to go through menopause. They're going to feel so much better if they just, get on the floor on their hands and knees and straighten out and try and do a press up, a girly press up where you're on your knees, not on your feet. I couldn't even do one when I started to try strength training. This was about 4 years ago. I couldn't even do one. And get a bar somewhere that you can hang on, that you can actually extend and give your body. I'm not saying do pull-ups, but although there are lots of women who are in their 50s who can do pull-ups, I think it really works, strength training. Somehow you don't want the cardiovascular, you don't want to start getting out of breath and stressing yourself because that's going to raise cortisol. You don't want to be doing running or anything fast moving. You want to be doing all of that slow stretching stuff, and strength stuff. That's going to make you feel much better when you're going through menopause, get your circulation going and build strength around the bones. Osteoporosis is a massive thing at that time of life.
I was just about to say that, yeah, because particularly with postmenopausal women, they're often diagnosed after the menopause with osteoporosis. So I guess the strength training is going to, strengthen the joints and stuff, and that's going to hopefully prevent that.
And also becoming oxalate aware and getting off the oxalates. No more spinach, no more almonds, milk smoothies. Lots of high oxalate foods wreak havoc and give you osteoporosis, as does a high estrogen diet, a high phytoestrogen diet.
Just a factoid for you on osteoporosis. In Japan, if anyone is diagnosed with osteoporosis, they are immediately prescribed with vitamin K2, which is crucial vitamin for osteoporosis treatment.
Yeah, in Japan and in China and in the East, they work with a whole bunch of different stuff that we've never even heard of over here, like thiamine B1.
Yeah.
Used for Parkinson's and is used for all sorts of like peripheral neuropathy and stuff like that.
That's Elliot Overton's work, isn't it? He's discovered that megadosing with thiamine, if you've got Parkinson's, it doesn't reverse Parkinson's, but what it does do is it stops any progress of the disease, which is amazing. My dad had Parkinson's. It's an awful disease. Really is horrific.
That's to
I wish I'd known that at the time. Yeah,
I know. It is to do with the myelin sheath as well, which is the insulation around your electrical wiring around your nervous system. And myelin is made of fats, animal fats. So, we've got to get off all vegetable oils at all costs and get those animal fats down us. Not in vast quantities, but just regularly, small doses, teaspoon here and there. Cook all your veg in a good animal fat, like tallow, like lard, duck fat, goose fat, all that good stuff.
Olive oil?
Nah, not olive oil. No, you can make a lovely salad dressing with your olive oil, or you can cover your food with olive oil after you've finished cooking it. Don't heat it over 100 degrees. You'll be creating...
I think it degrades at a higher heat compared with most other oils, but it still does degrade.
If they've gone to the trouble of making it cold pressed and extra virgin in a glass bottle, let's keep it that pristine, clean, nice, unadulterated. It's damaged by heating it.
Very good point. Would you like to hear about my top 3 supplements for the menopause, my top 3 herbs for the menopause, and a very special and important tip I've got?
Go on then.
Brilliant. Okay, let's start with the tip. This is really important. So I recommend for showering and bathing, it's really important that you avoid chlorinated water, because the thyroid mistakes iodine for chlorine, chlorine for iodine.
Chlorine for iodine. Yes,
That's it,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're bathing or showering in chlorinated water, that's going to really have a negative impact on the menopause. So we sell vitamin C shower filters, and if you prefer a bath, you can use a tablespoon. As soon as you start the bath water running, add 1 tablespoon of vitamin C powder, ascorbic acid,
Yeah.
non-GMO, to the bath water. And then if you just drop an iodine drop in the water, it will immediately disappear. And that's how you know that the vitamin C has worked and the chlorine has left the bath water. So you're not just absorbing the chlorine through your skin, you're actually breathing it in as well with the vapor. And chlorine, of course, chlorine was very famous in the First World War in terms of a gas. So you don't want to be breathing that stuff in at all, especially when you're going through the change. Go on.
Did you know, that's great advice. Did you know that chlorine dioxide used to be used in municipal water supplies since the 1860s or the 1880s when it was discovered? Chlorine dioxide, not chlorine, but chlorine dioxide.
The stuff that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube, yeah.
Well, this is a historical fact that anyone can and research.
I'm pretty sure they use it in the NHS to clean their hospitals with. I'm pretty sure they use that stuff.
To sterilise surgical equipment and things.
Yes.
Or either that or hypochlorous acid, I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Perhaps we'll talk about that on another platform one day, Emma. Okay, so anyway, getting back. So after my tip, I've got my 3. Would you like to hear my 3 top supplements or my 3 top herbs first?
Well, the 3 top herbs, and I virtually guarantee that they're going to be on Dr. Wendy Sullen's list of high estrogenic herbs, but go for it.
Okay, well, I'm not suggesting that anyone takes this in the very long term, these herbs. You can just take them to help you maneuver through the menopause.
Yeah.
So we'll go in reverse order. In 3rd place, I would recommend Dong Wei. Have you heard about Dong Wei, Emma?
No, I don't.
Chinese herb, and it's often referred to as being the female ginseng. It's used typically to help you keep the menstrual cycle regular and to relieve symptoms of the menopause. It balances the hormones, and it's famously known for being a blood tonic as well. It nourishes red blood cell production. But it's typically used as helping out with the menopause. Number 2 would be ashwagandha, which is more well known about, I think. That's great for mood, relaxation and sleep, and it also balances hormones. And my top herb, and this one has surprised me, I've learned about this since I've been supplying people with supplements and herbs. I've had an enormous amount of positive feedback with this herb and the menopause, and that is maca root. So maca root is famous for helping with hot flushes. It's most famous for energy and libido. So I often have maca in the mornings with some raw milk, maybe a banana, and you're firing on all 4 cylinders afterwards. So maca is great, and it helps to regulate hormones. So many women, even my mum, funnily enough, my mum, who's a lovely mum, she's the best mum in the world, but she is a normie, bless her. And she told me recently that I asked her, how did you maneuver the menopause? I've never asked you that. And she said, I use black cohosh. And I was like, really? You didn't use HRT? You surprised me. And she said, yeah, I used black cohosh and I hardly noticed anything. So these herbs do work for the menopause. That's well documented. There might be issues with phytoestrogens in the long term, but I always recommend them for the menopause. Top 3 supplements, I would say number 3. Guess. I bet you can guess what number 3 is.
Vitamin D. I don't know.
No, I'm not going to go there. Not with you. No. Magnesium. Magnesium would be number 3.
Miracle mineral of relaxation.
Yes, exactly. Relaxation, sleep. It's the master mineral that's involved in hundreds of biological processes in the body. Now, I also sell the blend, which is taurate, citrate, malate, and bisglycinate. But I also sell magnesium L-threonate in gelatin capsules. Now, magnesium L-threonate is a very special form of magnesium because it's the only one that penetrates the blood-brain barrier.
And it's got a theanine. It's attached to theanine, isn't it? Which
That's
is
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
The
impressed.
calming amino acid.
Yes, spot on. So, in terms of mood and sleep, especially sleep during the menopause, I think L-threonate could be very, very useful.
I do love your magnesium blend, I have to say, and I recommend to everyone that they get it because it is in a gelatin capsule, especially. And but what I struggle with is that where are you getting your calcium from? Because if you're not getting a good source of calcium, and if you're eating high oxalate food, you're not getting any calcium because all your calcium is being robbed by the calcium robbers in calcium oxalate. So you have to watch out.
I can understand that. On a personal front, I don't eat high oxalate food, or if I do, it's very rare. You know, I might have the odd bit of chocolate every now and again, or some berries from the allotment, but generally speaking, you know, I don't grow spinach anymore. I don't grow chard anymore.
Yeah, right.
I've never liked rhubarb anyway. I can't stand rhubarb.
Okay,
so
but some people are out there having chips and crisps and chocolate and high oxalate foods every day, and then thinking and then they'll have like an almond milk smoothie with some spinach in it, thinking that's healthy, and suddenly they've OD'd on oxalates and they're going to have no calcium in their body whatsoever. And so taking a load of magnesium when you haven't got the calcium that works with it, it's like there's going to be an imbalance, you know.
Ooh, possibly. I mean, we had this conversation last week, and I think he would agree that magnesium, when you've got magnesium and calcium, it is easier to get calcium, just aside from oxalates for a minute, it is easier to get calcium from food in the modern day world than it is magnesium. Yeah, I think that's
well, you know, if they're taking dairy, but it's pasteurized dairy, it'll actually be more damaging than nourishing. So that's not a good source of calcium. So where else are they?
Calcium, you get calcium from animal foods. You get calcium from dairy if it's unpasteurized. You get calcium from vegetables. I'm not sure about fruit, but with nuts, I think you do. Whereas magnesium, it's generally leafy green vegetables or
chlorophyll.
seeds. Seeds. And I don't like eating seeds. It's not for me. If you do, then that's great. I'm not a seed person. You know,
chlorophyll's quite a good source of magnesium as well.
Yes, absolutely. But and the body self-regulates magnesium. So if you're holding too much, if you reach your threshold, you'll just need to run to the toilet to avoid disaster trousers. But the body sorry, the body recycles or can recycle calcium. It cannot recycle magnesium. So I do think that we need to be more focused on magnesium than calcium myself, but that's just me.
But not if you've got osteoporosis.
Let's get back to the menopause, Emma.
Yeah, right, okay.
Where was I? Halfway through my supplements list. So number 2, I would recommend selenium. Now, selenium is involved in thyroid function. As we know, thyroid controls body temperature, metabolism, and all sorts of things, you know, so it's super important. And selenium is a very powerful antioxidant, very powerful. I could tell you a quick story about that, actually.
Go on.
A lady contacted me and wanted to buy some supplements because, very sadly, she'd just been diagnosed with breast cancer. She was on the telly. She was in The Only Way is Essex. Anyway, so she contacted me. I gave her a package, but I said, whatever you do, because she was about to receive, it was either chemo or radiotherapy, the orthodox treatment. So I said, whatever you do, please don't take these supplements until you've had that treatment, because you won't get the benefit of the supplements while you're receiving the therapy. She ignored me and took the supplements while she was taking the treatment. And she received a phone call from the hospital after her first treatment. And they said, you need to come into the hospital straight away. We need to speak to you. So off she went. And they said, we've just got your results back. And the chemo or radio, whatever it was, hasn't worked at all. because you've got too much selenium in your system. So I'd given her the selenium, and the selenium had knocked out whatever it was, the therapy, which is
Wow.
like exactly. I nearly fell off my chair when she told me that. So
Wow.
that was in her results from the hospital. So
Yeah.
there you go. So it's powerful.
Amazing.
Sorry?
And anyone with any, that's amazing. That's great news. And anyone with any kind of thyroid hormonal problems is going to be needing iodine, and iodine won't work unless there's enough selenium.
Which is my number one recommendation for the menopause, always without fail. Everybody needs iodine. People who don't have a thyroid still need iodine, but iodine is super important for the menopause and thyroid function. So, as I've just said, the thyroid heavily influences metabolism, energy levels, body temperature, overall well-being. And in Japan, there's no direct translation for the word menopause. They don't have, or they don't suffer as much with symptoms as women do in the West, and that's because they're munching on seaweed
Seaweed.
with virtually every meal, and seaweed is packed with iodine and selenium. So, and it's for that reason I believe that the breast cancer rates in Japan are extremely low compared to the West.
Yeah.
So, iodine is your best friend when it comes
No,
to menopause.
it's Lugol's iodine you sell, isn't it?
Yes, it
And
is. 12,
that's part of our protocol on GAPS, is we paint iodine on the skin to begin with, and then you start to take it internally once you make sure your selenium levels are okay and that
yeah,
you're
that makes perfect
salt
sense.
level.
I drink it now. I drink. I was drinking 2 drops at night because Dr. Sarah Myhill says that if you do that, it has the added benefit of sterilizing the upper gut overnight, which is a very desired outcome, obviously. So that's good. But nowadays, I'm actually drinking it at the moment. I thought, why not, as I'm talking about the menopause? So
Cider vinegar with fizzy water. Cheers.
we're super healthy. Um, yeah. So where was I with that? So iodine. So yeah, I'm drinking about 6 or 7 drops a week now, just a little top up. You know, I like my fish and stuff, so I'm getting iodine that way. So they're my 3 top. So iodine, selenium, magnesium, and with if you're going down the herbal route, then I would say maca is the one that I've noticed that women talk about a lot, that I speak to about the menopause. That seems to really help them, especially with mood. Ashwagandha for relaxation, and dong wei, sorry, as a hormone balancer. And
That's
don't
interesting that you say maca, because when I gave up coffee, I couldn't have coffee when I was pregnant with my kids because my body just gave me the shakes. So I was like, no coffee for me. And then once I finished breastfeeding and, sort of like 6 years later or whatever, I thought, I'm going to have a coffee. And I had a cup of coffee. I was flying for 2 days, 3 days, and then I stopped and I had a headache from hell. And I thought, I can't drink coffee anymore. That's the end of coffee for me. So I started to drink cocoa or cacao with maca in it, funnily enough. And I drank that for quite a long while. And then I started getting headaches if I didn't have my cocoa. So I just thought, right, forget it. I'm not going to bother with any of those stimulants anymore. But I did have the maca for a little while. It makes a nice kind of soothing bedtime drink, kind of like a, like a
maca, really? Not at night time, Emma. No, it gives you loads of energy.
right.
So it's like a morning herb. You take it in the morning. So
Right.
were you experiencing sleeping difficulties at the time?
No, I don't think I was. No,
Yeah,
actually, you're right. I was having it as a wake you up in the morning thing. You're
yeah,
right. Instead
yeah,
of a coffee, instead of a
yeah.
wake you up in the morning.
Well, funnily enough, some people say that black coffee helps with migraines. That's
Because it
quite.
opens up the blood vessels.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah.
I prefer to take a coffee enema to open up my blood vessels, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, so shall we sort of sum things up now? So we don't recommend the usual conventional treatments for the menopause.
No, I could just mention one last thing, which
Yes,
might
please.
surprise people, but some people have taken shivambu as a therapy for hormone replacement, which is to drink your own urine. Pee therapy. It's known as shivambu in the ancient Ayurvedic texts, and there are hospitals around the world where people do nothing but loop urine and recover from all sorts of outrageous things. If anybody wants to find out more about that, they can look up aquariusthewaterbearer.com, and there's lots of literature there. But in your pee is bioidentical hormones, obviously, from your own body. And so it just means it lets you down more gently. You also get lots of minerals from that. You also get structured water. You also get stem cells. You also get antidotes to poisons that you've come into contact with. Like if you got stung by a jellyfish or got bitten by a venomous something, you would put pee on it. Anyway, that's one last little thing to throw in the basket of tools that we might use so that we don't have to rely on the pharmaceutical industry.
Brilliant. Okay. And melatonin has just crept into my mind, not literally the word. And I think that could also be very useful. Now, I've ummed and ahed about melatonin recently as a supplement, but I've spoken to a chap that I've interviewed on this channel before, Phil Mickens, who is the country's leading longevity expert. And he has lots of very positive things to say about melatonin as a supplement, lots of benefits. The misconception, I think, is that people believe that if they take a melatonin supplement, it will help them get to sleep, and it doesn't do that. It doesn't help you get to sleep, but once you fall asleep, the melatonin will then, sort of flood the brain, and you'll go into a very deep sleep. And it also has some very interesting other benefits that I'm a bit wary about talking about on here. So you can guess where I'm going with that. Basically, I think I'll just come out and say it. Actually, that's when you're asleep at night, if you've got enough melatonin in the brain, then no cancer cell can manifest or develop. That's a scientific fact.
Great, it's good to know.
Yeah, it's
well,
very
what
good.
I know about melatonin is that if you wake up very early and get outside and get the morning light of the dawning sun in your eyes, then that will set off a cascade of hormones, a knock-on effect that will culminate in melatonin. So the best way to get melatonin naturally is by just getting up early and getting the sun in your eyes.
Sun gazing, yeah.
Sun gazing,
very good tip. Some people say vitamin D.
Jack Cruz.
Okay. I apologise to everyone. I've just realised I've had a funny day today. I've had a really busy day today. And I've just realised I haven't looked at the chat. That's really rude of me. So I apologise for that. We've had some comments. Hello, Rich. How are you? Andrew Christie is with us. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you. And we've had a comment from Orgulug, my mate from Wales, who has said, tactics for men to placate a wife with hormone-induced meltdown. Chocolate is textbook, but possibly not gut-friendly alternatives. Well, I think we've probably offered you a few by now. Here's one from Andrew.
I would put her in a bath if she gets cranky. If she gets cranky, just put her in a hot salt bath and massage her feet.
I did have some brilliant sound effects for the show today, but I'm afraid I'm not brave enough. There was some music from the soundtrack of Psycho, some machine gun fire and some screams and stuff, but we won't go there. Anyway, Andrew has said mangosteen, 1 teaspoon a day might help, and/or a tofu meal once or twice a week. Keep the chocolate in to sweeten the deal.
Not for me,
for that, Andrew.
but thanks. I don't know what that first thing is. I don't know what that first thing is he mentioned. What was the first thing? Mangosteen. What's that?
I've heard of it. I'm trying to think. Mangosteen. Andrew, if you're still with us, can you let us know what mangosteen is?
I have to look that one up.
I don't think it's a herb. I've heard of it and I can't remember. I'm sorry. They're having a laugh about that in the group. Richard has said, I'll try and suggest some of these. Less spinach will be achievable at least.
Go for it.
Good stuff. Right. Andrew has said, does Emma think the depletion of vitamins and minerals involved when a woman grows a child and not replacing them postpartum could be an influence in early onset menopause?
100%. Yes, absolutely. 100%. And also the onset of postnatal depression and the onset of not being able to provide enough nourishing breast milk for the child. And, women have got to be eating all the things we're not supposed to eat according to the mainstream guidance. Liver, raw egg yolks, shellfish, rich liver pate, all that jazz. unpasteurized things, and everything, you know, and they just don't get enough of them, and they eat too many starchy carbs, and the starchy carbs just use up the minerals in the metabolizing of them. So it's a catch-22. My next book's going to be called How to Make Babies.
Yes.
And I'm going into all of that in detail.
Yeah. We talked about fertility in our first episode, didn't we?
Yeah.
Andrew Christie, this is interesting. In Ayurveda, henna is used to address the hot flushes, and it's applied to the feet.
Oh,
now,
how
that's
lovely.
all one on me, and I'll look into that because...
Oh, how lovely. And so then you could put her in a hot bath if she's cranky, and then massage her feet, and then do henna tattoos all on her feet for her. That'd be nice.
And if you have a partner or a wife who's going through the menopause at the moment, I wouldn't recommend putting her in a bath. That might make matters worse.
Some of us like to be manhandled.
Yes. Anyway, right. Okay. Right. There's loads of comments now. Oh, no, there's a couple more. Andrew has followed up with, only drink the midstream. The head and the tail have poison in them, according to the tradition.
I've heard that as well, but it's not been my experience.
Okay. And it's the peel of an Indian fruit. Mangosteen, that's right. It's the peel of an Indian fruit. Okay. Thanks for that, Andrew. Thanks for that contribution. That's
I'll look into that. It's new to me.
Yeah, me too. Brilliant stuff. Okay. I think we're done. We're there. Thank you all for joining us, everyone. Next week, Clive the Car will be with us.
Without any technical difficulties this time.
Fingers crossed. So look out for that. Not too sure on the subject matter yet because we've done remineralisation now. But Clive is so knowledgeable and very, very wise. So we'll have lots of things to talk about with him.
And with your questions. And
yes, it's your opportunity to ask Clive anything. And he's a natural health wizard. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Please like, share and subscribe and all that jazz. And we'll see you next Wednesday with Clive. Cheers.
That's